and then share screen. I'm going to share this. Okay, can you see that Google? Google?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So if I was to type the word derogatory,
It means critically disrespectful.
yes, that's a good definition. It doesn't necessarily mean disrespectful. It's a different word from disrespectful, but you're in the right area. Okay, let's hear how it's pronounced.
Derogatory.
Derogatory. See that? Derogatory.
Derogatory.
Derogatory. So showing a critical or disrespectful attitude. She tells me I'm fat and is always making derogatory remarks, right? So that would be derogatory. Derogatory.
Yeah.
And so when we were
Look
go ahead, Irby.
it's like a look down upon
Yeah, exactly. And so
their nose, like
exactly.
they're not good enough.
That's right. And so if we look at groupies, let's see what is coming up on Wikipedia. So see what Wikipedia says. The term groupie is a slang word that refers to a fan of a particular musical group who follows the band while they're on tour and so on. So that would be how it would initially have been used, but it's really any kind of hanger on to a person, you know, to a personality would be referred to as a groupie. Make sense? A groupie. Going back to the idea of derogatory, another word that means a similar thing is pejorative. Now, these words are not identical. Because pejorative can be used as a noun, whereas derogatory is always a verb.
Pejorative.
But a pejorative is when you express contempt or disapproval. Is pejorative. Pejorative. Do you want to have a go at saying that, Irvi?
Yeah, pejorative.
Try again.
Pejorative.
Yeah. Your J is not really clear enough. Pejorative. Pejorative.
Pejorative.
Do it slowly.
Pejorative.
Pejorative. See that? Pejorative. The J is quite strong. Hilario, do you want to have a go at saying pejorative?
Pejorative. Okay, pejorative. Yeah.
Hilario, would you like to have a try?
Pejorative.
Yeah, very good. That was good. Okay, so that's so pejorative and derogatory are very similar in meaning. Okay, and it's where you're speaking negatively about something. Okay. Disapproval or contempt. Okay, so that's two big words that we've looked at there. Okay, so now what I want to do now is teach you an expression that's very common in English that you probably don't know coming from other countries. And it's this expression here, par for the course. Have you ever heard of that?
No.
Par for the course. It comes from golf, actually. Have either of you heard that? No, I'll take that as a no. Okay, so what does par for the course mean?
No, sir, didn't hear it.
Repeat that. Repeat that for me, Irby.
I didn't hear it before.
Okay,
The word, the expression.
Par for the course.
par for the course. So what it means is what is normal or expected in any given circumstances. Looking gorgeous is par for the course with her, right? And where it comes from is golf. If you play golf, which is a Scottish game, of course, although there's many, I don't know if there's very many famous Indians playing it, but there's certainly some really, really good Spaniards. Sevi Ballesteros, I can remember from my youth, was, I think he's dead now, but he was a Spanish player who was really brilliant at golf. And when you're playing golf, you've got a number of holes, typically 18 holes. And the number of shots that are required is how it's measured. So you could have a shot and it might be like 4 shots from you tee off in the green till you get to the you tee at the tee off to the green is 4 shots, right? And if you get it in the 4, that you've played par, right? And if you get it in 3 shots rather than 4, that's called a birdie. And over the whole course, you might find the whole course, let's say, is 80 shots. And that's saying that a good player will take 80 shots to get around the course. But if you can do it in less than that, then you're a good player. And if you take longer than that, you're not such a good player, or you didn't have a good game that day. And so that's where this expression par for the course comes. It's like, what is the normal? What is the par of this course? The course is a reference to a golf course. But we take idiomatically that out of the context of golf and use it in every other realm of life. It could be, related to work. It could be related to health. It could be related to, diet, anything. Now I'm going to stop there and just ask, because both of you have your cameras off, so I don't really know if I'm making sense to you. Am I making sense?
Of course, sir.
Yeah. Are you following me, Hilario, or am I speaking too fast for you?
It's okay. It's okay.
Did what I say make sense to you?
Yes, sir.
Hilario, does it make sense to you?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. So that expression, par for the course, is very, very good. Let's look up some examples. Billy hasn't paid his rent on time, but that's par for the course. He's always late. See that? So there, it's a reference to like not paying your rent on time, and saying that it's par for the course is saying that is expected behavior of him. I had an appointment to see my doctor at 3, but I had to wait an hour. I know waiting is par for the course when it comes to doctors, but it still annoys me. So I know waiting is expected behavior in doctors, right? So that's how it's used. And this is an extremely common expression, right? Very common. Good to know it. And we always say it like that. It's par for the course, par for the course. And it's also an example where we take something out of a game, you know, like football, or like there's an expression the Americans say they take from American football, the whole 9 yards. You heard that? The whole 9 yards. Have you heard that? The bullets and machine guns used in America combat planes of World War II, and since we're in chains 27 feet at length. Thus, if a pilot was able to fire all his bullets off at one target, he was said to give his adversary the full 9 yards. Well, I thought this came from American football rather than aircraft, but there you go. So the whole 9 yards is saying, it's saying the full thing kind of thing. Colloquial American English, meaning everything, the whole lot, we use as an adjective all the way, as in the army came out and gave us the whole 9 yards on how they use space systems. Its origin is unknown and has been described by Yale University librarian Fred Shapiro as the most prominent etymological riddle of our time. Okay, so it seems that there is some debate over the meaning, where it comes from, but the meaning is clear. The whole 9 yards means to give it everything. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I was sure all my whole life that came from American football, but there you go. Right. Now, what I want to do now is use a very simple word, right, which is the word business. And I want to distinguish it from busyness. Now, these two words sound very similar, but they've got different meanings. So business and busyness, actually busyness doesn't have an I. Can you see how they sound very similar? Business and busyness. So does anybody want to have a go at guessing what the difference between these words is? No? Nobody brave?
Business is when you have something you can earn money, or also you can lose money. A business,
Yes, exactly. It's like, you think of it like a company.
a company, for example.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So that's a business. A business is a kind of a venture where you make money, or the purpose is to make money. And it could be a simple business like a coffee shop, or it could be a complicated business like a software company or a rocket company or Tesla, very complicated company. You can go from simple, but all of those are examples of businesses. Busyness has got an entirely different meaning. What does busyness mean, do you think?
Maybe when you are less, when you have more time,
Yes,
more free time.
exactly. Think of it like busy. Are you taking class tonight, Alan? No, I'm busy. And I've got other things on. I'm very busy. I'm too busy to have class tonight. That's what busy means. And busyness is the state of being busy. the state or condition of having a great deal to do. It's great to get caught up in the busyness of life. The quality of being excessively detailed or decorated, the busyness of interior design. So here in this definition, it's being used in a pejorative session. There you go. I'm reusing a word we've done earlier. It's being used in a pejorative way there, and to be a negative. You know, if a design is too fussy, we would say that it's not smart, it's not elegant. But the main definition is this: the state or condition of having too much to do. That is busyness. Is that clear? I realize I'm getting a little bit dark because of the light is failing. I'll just put a light on. Bear with me. You can see me now. So busyness, is that clear?
Okay. Yes.
Okay. So it's important when you're practicing speaking to practice that word and distinguish between business and busyness. Business and busyness. And if you say those words to me, I need to know which of the two you mean. So your pronunciation needs to be correct. Irby, have a go at saying both business and busyness for me. Irby? You still there? You're muted, Irby. Have
Yes, sir.
have a go at
Still
saying
there.
those two words for me clearly.
One will be business and second will be business.
Yeah. So they both sounded very similar to me in the way you're pronouncing it. It's not clear enough, at least for my ears. So I want you to have another go, okay? So say business,
Okay.
business,
Business.
and then say busyness. Your sound is not really coming through very well. I don't think it must be to do with your internet connection. Hilario, you have a go saying both words for me, please.
Yes. Business y business.
Yeah, you got it. That's really good. Really good. Okay. What did I do with my phone? Put it over here. Okay. Right. The next is an idiom I want to teach you. And the idiom is a lame duck. A lame duck. Maybe we should explain the word lame first. What does lame mean? Lame? Any idea?
I don't know.
So lame is used particularly of an animal unable to walk without difficulty as a result of injury or illness affecting its leg or foot. The horse went lame. So, you know, it couldn't run properly. If someone, so that's what lame means, okay? Like, let me see if I can see it in YouTube.
Hide your giraffe. Well, why did you call me Yukini then?
Cause you look like one and you're the jockey.
You're a cute crayon.
What does
Well, that wasn't very easy. I thought it'd be a lot easier to find a Liam, and I don't want a llama either. Liam walking, maybe. That wasn't very helpful. Okay, I'm not finding any good examples here, but basically Liam means if you can't walk exactly right,
Lloyd Whitaker about a month ago when we did our first beta testing with Minecraft. William had
if you have a problem with walking, that's what Liam means. Liam. Okay, like for example, somebody whose one leg is shorter than the other, they would be lame in their walk. Or somebody who's had a motorcycle accident, quite often they end up lame. Right? So the meaning of lame, that's the main meaning of lame. But we also use in English, particularly in America, they use the word lame to describe something that is uninspiring and dull. How was that movie that you went to see last night? Oh, it was lame. Lame. Yeah, I find the program pretty lame and not very informative. Lame. So if something is poor, it would be described as lame. So Irvi is just texting me to say that she's lost connectivity. Okay, Hilaria, we'll just carry on. So
It's
that's
okay.
what,
It's okay.
is that right? So Liam, maybe she'll join again if she gets connectivity. People from India generally really struggle with internet, you know. So then this was a segue or an introduction to come up with this expression here, lame duck, right? A lame duck. And what is a lame duck? It's an ineffectual or unsuccessful person or thing. Not that long ago, the bank was regarded as a lame duck. So there it's not describing a person, but a business. That business is a lame duck, i.e. unsuccessful. In North American, they use this word a lot. A politician or administration in the final period of office after the election of a successor. And the reason they say it's a lame duck is if you're out shooting, you know, and shooting ducks, a lame duck is easy to shoot because it can't run away, right? So it's ineffective. It's ineffective. And that ineffective is, we just use this idiom to describe it, lame duck. So that business is a lame duck. Or he or she is a lame duck, ineffective. Is that clear enough?
Okay, it's okay.
Okay. When you say it's okay, you mean, yeah, I've got it. Is that what you mean by that?
Yeah.
Okay. So you should say that, yeah, I've got that. That's it. I've got it. You know, if you say it's okay, we would say it's okay. We mean something different when we say it's okay. When we say it's okay, we mean, like if I say, like I was saying to you earlier, can you hear me? Or no,
Yeah.
you'd say it, is my volume, is my volume of speaking okay? You would say, okay, yeah, it's okay. Or is my speed of speaking English all right for you? You would say it's okay. It's fine. It's okay. That might sound like a very small little correction, but if you say anything that sounds not quite native, I will point it out to you, Hilario. Okay.
Thanks for your correction.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, so I've got a quote here I'm just going to make from the newspaper where I read this expression the other day, and I thought it was it's what inspired me to teach it to class. And I'll just read a little bit of it. It says, the PM is very keen on it, as in the Prime Minister. Johnson and Sahari, so that's Johnson as in Boris Johnson, Sahari was one of his ministers, both lame ducks both are understood to see the new power station as vital to Britain's future energy security and to want to make the announcement themselves to burnish their legacies in office. So this is speaking about building a new nuclear plant in the UK. And Boris Johnson announced this, and I think it was the Home Secretary announced it before they were forced out of office, because we've had a change in Prime Minister in the UK that you may know about. But the point is, it described Johnson and Zahari as lame ducks both, right? And the reason they were being described as lame ducks was because not that they were failures, but rather their successors had been announced. And so it was very limited what they could do anymore. They couldn't make dramatic decisions because their power, their authority had been taken away. And so they're being described as lame ducks. Make sense?
Yes, it makes sense.
Okay, good. Right. Here's another good idiom, which I'll type out here. Hanging by a thread. Now, maybe this is something that you use in Espanol, I don't know. Hanging by a thread. Does that mean anything to you? Hanging by a thread?
Maybe it's pending. It's pending on a second, on a little long, very short. Maybe it happens very soon.
Yeah. Yeah, you've basically
For instance.
Yeah. Yeah, it means that it's something that is very likely to fail.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
That's really what it means. It's very likely to fail very shortly. It's hanging by a thread. It comes from something from Greek history, actually, called the Sword of Damocles. I'll look that up in a minute. But I'll just look up the internet definition first of all. In a very dangerous situation, be in a very dangerous situation or state, be very close to death, failure. The patient's life was hanging by a thread. See that? So the hanging by a thread bit is idiom. It's idiomatic and means very, very close to death. So the Queen's health was hanging by a thread on Thursday morning, and they called the family, but she died. See that? Does that make sense?
It makes sense. I understand.
Okay. And where this comes from, it's always helpful, I think, if you understand what we call the etymology, right? How did we get that? And it comes from something called the sword of Damocles. Which I think is Greek philosophy or something. Maybe we need to look it up in Wikipedia. So Damocles is a character who appears in an anecdote commonly referred to as the sword of Damocles, an allusion to an imminent and ever-present peril faced by those in positions of power. Damocles was an obsequious courtier in the court of Dionysius of Syracuse in the 4th century BC, ruler of Syracuse, Sicily. Are you telling me this guy's real? I thought he was completely mythical. The anecdote apparently figures in the lost history of Sicily by Timaeus of Tyroneum. The Roman orator Cicero may have read it in texts of Greek historian Diodorus Siculus. Cicero was used. Anyway, the idea of the sword of Damocles, Damocles was pandering to his king. Dionysius explained that Dionysius was truly fortunate as a great man of power and authority without peer, surrounded by magnificence. In response, Dionysius offered to switch places with Damocles for one day so that Damocles could taste that very fortune firsthand. Damocles quickly and eagerly accepted the king's proposal. Damocles sat on the king's throne, surrounded by courteous, countless luxuries. There were beautifully embroidered drugs, fragrant perfumes, and blah, 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 blah. But Dionysius, who had made many enemies during his reign, arranged that a sword should hang above the throne, held by the pommel only by a single hair of horse tail to evoke the sense of what it was like to be king. Though having much fortune, always having to watch in fear and anxiety against dangers that might overtake him, Damocles finally begged the king that he be allowed to depart because he no longer wanted to be so fortunate, realizing that with great power comes great responsibility. So that's a bit long-winded, but you understand the background there of what the sword of Damocles was. So it was a sword that hung by a thread and could easily have fallen and killed them. And so that's where it comes from. And it's therefore used idiomatically. You know, we might say, oh, the sword of Damocles was hanging by a thread above my head. You know, we could say that. Or I could say, it's just hanging by a thread. And then we don't mention Damocles, but that's what it's referring to. Hanging by a thread, i.e. imminent danger. Make sense?
It makes sense.
Right. here's a very interesting word, and I think it's slang. Barmy. Barmy. You won't know what this means though, right? Barmy.
I don't know what it means.
Yeah, I didn't think you would. That's fine. Most of the words I come up with are words that I think people won't know, right? If you know the word, then I failed. Barmy. It means mad or crazy. I thought I was going barmy at first. So it's either mad or crazy or extremely foolish. This is a barmy decision, right? That's just a stupid idea. It is barmy.
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 Barmy. Make sense? Fairly straightforward.
Yes, it makes sense.
So I'll read you a quote like from a newspaper here to show you how it was used recently in the press. This is from August the 21st. Can't remember what newspaper it is. It's probably the Times or something. It's just speaking about Nicola Sturgeon, who's the first minister in Scotland. Her team have said they want to ignore Nicola Sturgeon. I think this is about the English government talking about the Scottish government. I think that's what it is. So I think it's speaking about Liz Truss, the new prime minister. Her team have said they want to ignore Nicola Sturgeon. In their debate last week, Sunak, that's Richie Sunak, who was the former finance minister, Chancellor of the Exchequer. Sunak said it was, now this is the quote, quite frankly barmy. That's what he said, quite frankly barmy, right? i.e. crazy, for the SNP, that's the Scottish National Party, to pursue an independence referendum, but promised he would not ignore the First Minister, but instead take her on and beat her. So I want you to see how that was used. Sunak said that her idea was quite frankly barmy, right? Quite frankly barmy. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
Okay. Okay, so that was barmy. Now, here's another good expression. Off the beaten track. Off the beaten track. Any idea? You want to guess what that might mean?
I don't know.
Okay. I could give you Alan's definition, but we'll just look it up. I'm a bit tired tonight. We'll just look it up, and then I'll talk around it a little bit.
Off the beaten track.
In or into an isolated place, right? So the beaten track would be if you were out walking, you know, in the hills, you can quite often, even if there's no like pavement, you can see where people walk because they've kind of stamped on the grass so frequently that it's made a track. It's made a track through the woods or through the wilderness. And we would describe that as the beaten track, beaten in the sense of beaten down or walked down or rubbed down. That's the beaten track. And so if you're off the beaten track, you're somewhere else in the woods. You're a bit lost. You're definitely in a bit more isolated a place. That's what off the beaten track means. I like to go walking off the beaten track, right? I could say that. But we then use that expression off the beaten track and idiomatically in all sorts of situations. Here it's, we tried to find locations slightly off the beaten track. So somebody wanted to come for a tour of Edinburgh, but I would say, well, do you want to see the regular things or like, you know, Edinburgh Castle, Holyrood, Arthur's Seat, or do you want me to take you to places a bit more off the beaten track? And somebody might say, oh, I've been to Edinburgh 2 or 3 times already. I've seen all the main sites. I'd like to see places off the beaten track. Does that make sense?
Can you repeat this, please?
Yeah. So let's say I was going to come a visit to Spain, right? And I was going to come to Madrid. And you were offering to take me around and show me sites, like a tourist guide. Alan, I'm free on Saturday. I'll take you around and show you some sites. And I said, hello, that's brilliant. I really appreciate it. Sounds good. But listen, I've actually been to Madrid 3 times already, and I have seen all the main tourist sites. So I'm wondering, can you take me off the beaten track? Take me to some places that are less well known,
Oh,
but
yes.
are still interesting. Does that
Oh,
make
yes.
sense? Does that make sense what I'm saying now?
Now it makes sense.
Yeah. So that's what how we would use off the beaten track. Off the beaten track. Right. Here's another idiom, right? See what he's got to say. Now,
Maybe you should understand. You should listen to him. What he wants to say.
yes, exactly. That's exactly right. It might be more logical to say, hear what he's got to say, right? Because you hear rather than see what somebody's got to say, right? You hear what somebody's got to say, right? They speak with their mouth, but you hear it with your ear. So it might be better to say, hear what I'd like to hear what he's got to say, right? Or like, what do you think of the new Prime Minister of Britain? I don't really know yet. I want to hear what she's got to say. You see? But although that's probably more correct, for some strange, weird reason that I can't really explain, we say, see what he's got to say. I'd like to see what he's got to say, as if I'm seeing it with my eyes. But actually, you don't see what somebody's got to say, you actually hear it. That's just a weird thing. Does that make sense?
It makes sense.
And here's another good example. It's popping up here just because it's popular. See what's what, right? See what's what, which won't make any sense to you, right? Let's just look it up. See what's what. Or know what's what. If you know what's what, you have a lot of experience and can judge people and situations well. Linda's been in the business for 30 years. She knows what's what. So the expression what's what is just, it's a weird kind of expression that means somebody's knowledgeable. Hilario could teach me some Espanol because he really is a native and he knows what's what.
I understand. I can understand what know what's what wants to say.
Yeah. And
You are you are an expert. You know a lot about that matter. For instance,
yeah, exactly. And see what's what is another good expression, right? I wonder, can I find a good definition of it though? So to see what's what is to understand what is meant on how to do something. Okay. Or to understand or think carefully about something. So here's other synonyms like to comprehend, learn, realize, understand. Yeah. So, Alan, how's the new job going? Well, I'm still in the learning phase. It'll take me a while before I see what's what. Alan, what do you think of Spain? I like Spain, but I need to travel to the south. I've never been to the south. I'd like to go there and see what's what. So to see what's what is to get an understanding. You know, I've been to Barcelona. I have been to Madrid, but I've never been down to Alhambra. I'd like to go down the south. I want to go to Alhambra and see what's what. This is a very native expression. Make sense?
It makes sense.
I seem to have lost my place in my vocabulary list. I'll try and find where it was. Basically, constantly write a list of words, you see, to teach in class.
Mhm.
Anytime I think of something, oh yeah, people don't know that, I write it down. Or if I read something in a book or I read something in a newspaper. So I'm always building up my list of words. Yeah. See, yeah. Okay, I'll do one more. That's us at 8 o'clock now. So I'll do one more word and then we'll call it quits for the evening. And this is the word post, right? Post, which in its most simple form is a very easy definition. Post, right? I can post some mail. Everyone has heard of the US Postal Service. So we know what it means to post a letter. I'm going to post a letter. I'm going to post a card to Hilario on his birthday. Yeah. Make sense?
It makes sense.
But that's the very simple definition. That's not what I want to teach you, okay? What I want to teach you is what we mean in this kind of a sentence. You were going to talk to Irby, post your chat with Alan. You see what I said there? So I'm making a statement. You, Hilario, was going to speak to Irby, post your chat with Alan. And what
Makes
post,
sense.
what post means there is after.
After.
Yeah, it just means after. I could have said after. But sometimes we say post to mean after or later. Afterwards. Afterwards. It's actually interesting. The word post has got so many different meanings, right? A long, sturdy piece of timber, right? That's a post, right? Like If I want to build a fence, I need to put in some posts to hold up the fence, posts. But it's also a piece of writing, image, or other item of content. Like, you know, a post I posted to my blog. I post to my blog regularly. In a recent post, he cautioned investors to be wary of these predictions. Post. And you notice that post there is a noun, right? So it can be a wooden post or it can be a written post, right? A post. But then it can be used as a verb to display a notice in a public place. A curt notice has been posted on the door. Posted on the door. So I can not only post on the letterbox, I can post on a wall. So for example, when I was at college, the university results were posted on the notice board. Posted on the notice board. And you'd have
Maybe
to
published, maybe published in this case.
released. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we would speak about press releases. Press releases. Or the announcement was released to the press. Release, a release, yeah. Posted is slightly different, but it's in the same milieu, to use a French word. It's in the same ballpark, to use an Americanism, right? It's the same kind of area. But to post is the verb to actually put it up on the wall. I posted, yeah. To use an example from history, Martin Luther posted his thesis onto the church in Wittenberg, which gave rise to the Reformation in 15 something or other. I can't remember the exact date. Right? Posted, right? Announce or publish something, especially a financial result. The company posted a £460,000 loss. Posted. So post is one of those weird words that has like a multiplicity of meanings, and you have to figure it out from the context, you know, which of those different meanings it has. Post. If any of that doesn't go in, you can just ask me again. Is that all right?
It makes sense.
Okay. So we'll call it quits. We will call it quits for the evening, which means we'll finish up the class there.
Okay, thanks. Thanks very much.
Maybe another time you can teach me some Espanol.
Maybe.
I know very little, un poco, but buenos dias, señor. ¿Cómo están usted?
Have you ever been to Spain?
Yeah, lots of times. I've been to Mallorca 5-6 times to Mallorca. I've also been to Barcelona a few times. I've been to a wedding. I was a girl who was Spanish invited me to her wedding. She used to work for me, and she invited me to her wedding in 2019.
It sounds great.
Yeah, that was near Figueres. And I went to see that. There's a museum there for that very famous artist who comes from there. It's Salvador Dali.
Mm.
You know him?
Maybe Figueres.
Figueres. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
I went this summer.
Okay, very
This
good.
is the museum. What did you like it?
Which part of Spain do you actually live in? Where are you from?
I'm from Murcia. Do
Say
you
that
know
again.
Murcia?
No.
It's in the southeast,
Oh, wow.
near Alicante,
Alicante. Yeah, I've heard of Alicante. Yeah, yeah.
and Almería.
Okay. Very good. Very good. Well, thanks for joining the class. I appreciate it. And I hope you enjoyed that, Hilario.
I had a very good time. Thanks so
Okay.
much.
Okay. So there's another class on Thursdays in the morning, 8 o'clock UK time, which would be 9 o'clock your time. I don't know if that suits you with your schedule.
I'm not going to be able at
Yeah.
that time.
Okay. I usually record it though, so you can get the recordings.
All the classes are recorded by you.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. And then to go on to that, you've already got the link. And what I do is I publish them, like after this, I'll publish it to the group so you can see the recording. You can go over it again if you want.
Okay, you are going to have twice classes in a week
Yeah.
this year.
Yes. This one here is really designed for, I usually have a couple of girls on from Colombia. This time, I picked this time for the people in like, because they can't do early morning, right? Early morning is really for those that are in the East, India, Iran. I've usually some girls from India and Iran, sometimes China, join me on a Thursday. And on Sunday, it's normally people from Latin America. They're all Spanish speakers, obviously, Colombia and Peru. I've got a few, Argentina. But like in any one class, sometimes nobody turns up. Sometimes I get 3, sometimes I get 6. I don't usually get more than 6 in any one class.
Okay.
If you watch some of the recordings, you'll see there's like, you get to know the regulars who join regularly. There's some people who are very keen. Irby, who was on earlier, is very keen. She's actually fairly new to the class, but she's quite brilliant. She really knows her English.
Fine, Alan. See you and have a nice week.
Thank you very much.
Pleased to meet you.
You too.
Bye. Bye.
Bye now.
Bye.
Bye bye. Adios.